Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of our system design from scratch series. So today in this video, we'll be discussing about vertical versus horizontal scaling. In the previous lecture, we talked about the engineering mindset required for system design, and we discussed how experienced engineers think about scale, the bottlenecks, failures, and the trade-offs before designing any system, right? But today we begin our first core technical concept in system design, that is scaling, which is very important. Okay, if you're going for any interview and if you're experienced developer of building your own application on enterprise level, or you're building it for yourself. So at the beginning, an application might serve a few hundred user. When you build any application and you start new application, so you do not know how many user can come and visit your website. Okay, so in beginning you will take it as a lower count. The architecture would be simple, the traffic is small, and everything runs smoothly, right? But as the product becomes successful and the traffic increased suddenly, and instead of 100 of user we might have 1,000, 10 millions, eventually more than that as well. We can see this many count of users on our website, right? At this point, the architecture that worked initially begins to struggle. Why? Because server is overloaded now, and the response time is increasing. User is experiencing slow pages and they are facing the failed requests. So the fundamental questions come here is, how do we design system that continue to perform well when the traffic grows? So the answer is scaling. And there are two type of scaling that we do majorly: vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So the problem we already discussed, the growing traffic. Okay, user send request to an application server, and then application server process the request and interact with the database. So the system look like user to application server and then to database. So for a small product, this architecture works perfectly. Maybe 500 users. The server handle the request easily because usage is low in this case. Memory usage is also low, and the response time then eventually becomes fast. Okay, but suppose the product become successful. So instead of 500 user, we have 50,000, 1 lakh requests. Okay, then the single server now needs to process far more work than before. And the CPU begins working harder and memory consumption increase, and then disk and network usage grow. So eventually your server reaches its capacity that it cannot process from us more requests after a certain time. So this is the moment when you scale your system, where scaling is must. Okay. Now we'll discuss about vertical scaling. Okay, how you can scale up your system using the vertical scaling. So vertical scaling means increase the power of a single machine. Okay, so instead of changing the architecture, we simply upgrade the server's hardware. Okay, so in the organization when you're working, so you have a dedicated server. Okay, but suddenly your server is loaded with lot of requests. So you decided you will not change your architecture the way you designed your system, but what you will do, you will increase the server size. Okay, you will increase its size so that it can take a high number of requests. Okay, so for example, you have a server with 4 CPU cores and 8 GB RAM, and when the server becomes overloaded, you are increasing your server configuration, changing your server basically from 4 CPU core to 16 CPU cores, and your RAM also you are increasing to 64 GB. Okay. So in cloud environment, this usually means upgrading to a larger instance type. So for example, moving from a small instance to a larger instance in AWS or another cloud provider. The architecture itself remains unchanged. So user to server and server to database, this is unchanged. This is same. Only the server becomes powerful. Now there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages as well. So the advantage of vertical scaling is it is simple. You do not need to redesign the system. You do not need a distributed architecture. You just upgrade the machine. Second, the application code remains unchanged. The software doesn't need to know that the hardware has been upgraded. And third one is quick to implement because you can do it very quickly if you are using AWS kind of cloud service, because majority of the companies are now using these cloud services. Okay. And when the system begins experience higher traffic, increasing hardware capacity can quickly restore the performance. We all know it. But the limitations is hardware limit. Every machine has a maximum capacity. Even the most powerful server eventually reach a limit where CPU, memory, or disk size cannot increase further. Right? At that point, the vertical scaling is no longer possible. And the second limitation is cost. You can spend to a particular number, right? Your company has a certain budget that we cannot spend more than that, because there is always a cost associated with every action. So as machines become larger, their costs increase dramatically. So the most powerful machine in cloud environment can be extremely expensive, right? So the second thing is cost. And the third limitation is downtime risk. Sometimes upgrading machines required restarting services or migrating workload, which can introduce temporary downtime as well. But perhaps the most critical limitation is something called a single point of failure. Single point of failure, what is it? When a system depends on a single server, the server becomes a single point of failure because you are just using a single server for all your operation, all your requests. So that is only single point of failure. If the server crash, your whole application will crash because you are just using the same server. You're just increasing its size, but the server is same. Okay. So if that machine crashed, the entire system becomes unavailable. Hardware failure can happen, network failure can happen, or even your operating system can crash. Okay. So if everything depends on a machine, then the entire service stops when the machine fails. That is single point of failure. Now, the second concept comes is horizontal scaling. If you can't do vertical scaling, then what should we do? So the second concept is horizontal scaling. The second approach says instead of making a single machine more powerful, we add more machine. So imagine replacing this single application server with multiple servers. Now your architecture will change a little, like from user, you will redirect it to load balancer, and then from load balancer, it will redirect to multiple application servers. Okay, and then to database. So now incoming requests are distributed across several servers. Each server process a portion of traffic, and if traffic increase, we simply add more server. So three server can become five server can become 10. So large system might operate 100 or thousands of servers simultaneously. Then advantage of horizontal scaling. So the first is massive scalability. Since new server can be added almost indefinitely, systems can handle extreme workload. Second, reliability. Like horizontal scaling improves your reliability. If one server crash, the system continues operating because other servers are still available, right? And the traffic is automatically redirecting to the remaining servers if one of the server fails. User may never see the failure notification as well, because there is a fallback mechanism. If one server fails, you can rewrite it to other servers. So for user, it is still working. And the last one is cloud infrastructure. Horizontal scaling works well with cloud infrastructure. Like cloud platform allow automatic scaling when servers are added or removed based on traffic demand. This capability we know as auto scaling. Now the stateless requirement. However, horizontal scaling introduces an important design requirement, but application servers must be stateless. A stateless server, what it does not store any user information in its memory. And why it is important? Because when a request arrives, it may be routed to any available server. If a user session was stored inside one specific server, the next request might fail when routed to a different server. So, to solve this, session data must be stored externally. So, by externalizing state, any server can process any request. So, this is what makes horizontal scaling possible. So, I hope now you understand the proper difference between vertical and horizontal scaling. Now, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.